episode of Web Dev Speak. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to optimize your images for the web. Now, most of us won't wait very long for our site to load. Research says we have about 3 seconds before our users will go elsewhere. Now, one of the key ways we can speed up our website is by ensuring that our images are optimized. That means your images are the right size, both dimensionally and the file size, for your website, and ensuring that you use the right image types. Optimizing your images also means making a few adjustments so they can help you with your SEO and on-site accessibility too. Today we're going to talk about how to optimize your images before you even think about uploading them. Basic image code in HTML, how to upload your images into a WordPress website, and how to optimize them once they're on your website. The first thing you'll need to decide when preparing an image for your website is what format it should be saved in. So I prefer to use the old Save for Web option, which you can find under Export and Save for Web Legacy. I like this because it gives me a few options, but I want to talk about the two main you should use, JPEG and PNG. Now, a simple rule of thumb is whether or not your image needs to have a transparent background. So you can see this image here has the little boxes behind it. That's a transparent background. If you want something to appear as if it's cut out, floating on top of the background, and have the ability to change that background color on your website, you'll want to save it as a PNG, as this one is here. A very common occurrence of this is your logo. Now, if you're uploading an image that is a rectangle or square shape, like this one, where you want to have the background included, you can save that image as a JPEG. The main thing to keep in mind with PNGs or with JPEGs is how you're going to use that image once it's on your website. Even if your image is a circle with a background, you'll need to save it as a PNG because images have to be 4-sided. Transparent background means you save a PNG. Otherwise, I recommend you use a JPEG. Now, what if you don't have Photoshop? One of the best free tools I've found is Canva, and honestly, as a non-designer, I love using their tools because it helps speed up a lot of the process for myself. Once you have a design ready to go, you can save it out in a variety of formats and even sizes. Much like with Photoshop, if you have something that needs a transparent background like this image does, because it's a cutout, then you want to ensure you check Save as PNG and check the transparent background option. So you have to come over here to download and click that there. And it already gives me the suggested file type, but I definitely want that transparent background. Now that you know what to save your image as and what size do you make it? I see a lot of my clients struggle with this. Uploading the full-size image of something like 4,000 pixels wide by, say, 6,000 pixels tall. Problem is that it becomes so huge, generally your website has to shrink it down to fit the space, and it makes your website load really slowly. If you're replacing an image, then coming into your website and finding that image you're replacing, double checking that size is a great way to get the correct size you need. So if I click on this here, it will tell me what size it is. So then I can go into Photoshop and make sure that I'm making an image the same size. Then I don't have to worry about everything else on that page. And I want to show you a cool trick in Photoshop. When I'm saving it in Photoshop, this image is huge. It's 4160 by 4160. It's square, and you can see it's even taking a minute to load in my Photoshop. I don't necessarily want to make my original image smaller, but I can save out the version I need by coming in here and shrinking that down to something a lot smaller. It's 43% that size of what the original image was. And it also shows me here that my image size is a lot smaller as well. Now, Canva lets you save out a larger version of this image, so you can hear 2x, 1.5, whatever you might need. But the cool thing is it lets you pick templates of typical web sizes, so it creates the image in the correct size from the get-go. What happens if you don't know the image size you need? Say it's a brand new image on your website. How do you judge that? Now, I will tell you, most desktop monitors won't be larger than 2,000 pixels wide. course, there's some that are going to fall outside of this, but depending on your market, I size my images so that they can stretch across the full screen at about 2,000 pixels wide. If it goes a little bit bigger than that, it really doesn't distort the images all that much. If you want the image to stretch across half the screen, I say about 1,000 pixels wide. It's a good place to start and helps you get the images down to the correct size. Now, when you're saving these images out, I want to point out that it is super important what you're naming these files. I'm going to say that again. When you're saving these images out, it is super important what you name these files. You don't want to just stick with DCIM-0138.jpg. You want to name that file something descriptive of what is actually in the image and include dashes between separate words. So I'm going to actually show you guys some files for my website here. You can see all the images I uploaded to my own website and the names of each image. They're descriptive of what is in the image itself, about myself, my blog, contact me. This helps Google know what's in the image, which is great for your SEO. It also made it super easy for me to create the alt text because I'm able, for the most part, to just duplicate what I named a file. Now, what's alt text? You probably are asking right now. Your alt text is the description of what is in the image. This text is important for SEO just because it describes to Google what is in your image. After all, Google can't see your images, so that alt text tells Google what is in that image. It also helps them serve up the correct images as search results. Just like Google can't see, alt text is super important for accessibility purposes. When you get a browser who is visiting your website using a screen reader, the screen reader will read what is in that image to your user from the alt text. The worst thing you can do is to not have any at all, but just as bad is to not be descriptive with your alt text. Now let's take a look really quickly at the basic code for an image so we can get a better understanding of this. Each image is displayed using this tag. Really simple. In its simplest form, it just needs a source tag reference here. So if that file was in my website, I could potentially just tell it it's in under images and like that. That is the reference of where the file is located on the web. You can also reference a file off of your own website on somebody else's website and put the full directory there. I don't really recommend doing that, but it is an option. Now, this is where our alt text comes into play. In this image, we want to include a description of what the image is. In this case, it's a headshot of myself, so I would add my name and maybe what I do, so WordPress developer. Alt text is a great way to get some appropriate keywords in your website. Hint, hint. But they need to make sense. Don't add a bunch of keywords for the sake of it. You want to be really careful that you're not keyword stuffing your alt tags. It does have to be descriptive of what the image actually is, because again, you're focusing on accessibility here. SEO is a side benefit to this, but our main purpose is to describe it to those people who are using our websites through a screen reader. Okay. So that's the basics of getting an image ready to upload. And now you can even write the image tag yourself if you'd like to. But if you're using a WordPress website, how do you upload those images into your website and then use them? There's a few ways to upload images into your actual WordPress website. The first being through your media library. Just click the Add New, and you can drag and drop any image directly into here. So I have this website. This website has a picture of that, so I'm going to add a picture of Mac. And you can see it's loading down here. So now I can just go to the post or the page I want to use the image on. No matter where I upload the image, once it's uploaded, I can edit the alt tag directly in WordPress by coming to this information on the side of the dialog box. So I'm going to type in here, Mac the Husky. More descriptive would be Mac the spoiled husky. It also autosaves, so I don't have to do anything. You can see it automatically is there. I can just click this button, this X button right there. Now with the Gutenberg editor, so we're going to go look at our test page here. You can add an image through an image block. And we're going to change this here. So you see here, we can add and I can either upload, select from the media library, or insert from a URL. Because I already have that picture there, I'm going to come to the media library and I can upload it there again. And I'm going to find that picture of Mac. And you can see here, it's already on my page. You can also add an image in line with text in this text box if you wanted to do so, just by coming in here and clicking inline image. Just make sure that your cursor is where you want that image to appear with the text. If you're using WordPress's classic editor, the steps to add an image are much the same. The only real difference is you add an image through the Add Media here at the top of the WYSIWYG editor. Now, if I were to come in here and I'd have some text, so I'm going to grab some lorem ipsum. And I want my image to be, say, with this paragraph. I would come up to this Add Media here, and I can find my image I want. And then you can even see I have the ability to add either it in full size or medium or thumbnail size that WordPress automatically generates for me. You have a few more options on the actual inserting page. I can also choose whether I want it to be left or right aligned with the text in the classic editor. So I want this to be aligned to the left, and I want it to be medium. It doesn't need to be huge. I'm going to insert it into the post, and you can see I can see what it will potentially look like. Okay, now what if you need to make some images smaller file sizes than what you can get out of Photoshop or Canva? There are a couple of cool tools that you can add to your WordPress website. One of the ones I used is called Short Pixel Image Optimizer. There's a variety of these, but there are plugins that are there to help you make those images a smaller file size. And I have in mind some different settings that I use. So I use the glossy settings. I want it to apply compression, but I want the images to be almost identical to the original. There's also available resources called Compress Ping, and they have a JPEG and PDF, SVG, and GIF version of this. Now, sometimes the compressed pings out of these generators can lose a little bit of their quality, but for the most part, it works very simply, and it gets me a smaller image when I have something that has to be 3,000 or 4,000 pixels big, and it gets it down to a faster to load, much more manageable size. But like I said, Short Pixel is great and other plugins like that, because when I upload those pictures into my website, it automatically compresses those for me. As you can see, when it comes to image optimization, most of that work happens before you ever upload images to your website. Most of what we covered here is very easy to replicate and turn into a process to use every time you update your website and load new images. These steps should apply to any image you add on your website, including those you upload to your blogs. Just an FYI. Follow these steps to improve the images throughout your website and watch your SEO and accessibility improve. See you next week.